Welcome back to the channel. I've got guest Josh Jankowski, fellow Corcoran Dwellings Realtor, colleague of mine. And what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the buyer feedback and how that affects sellers.
Sellers, don't you want to get inside the minds of these buyers? What do they think about your house? What do they think about the market? Join us in today's video. Where do we start? Because there's so much to talk about here. You definitely talk to more buyers than I do. Where would you begin getting inside the mind of a buyer right now?
Well, the thing I do is I talk to a lot of people, and I'm talking to a lot of people both locally and from out of state or even out of country in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cases. And the mindset of these buyers is drastically different depending on which mindset they're in, right?
Like in terms of, are you ready now? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? Is that what you mean?
Well, no, it's not just that. It's a little bit more about, is the market crashing? Are the prices going to drop further? And or should I buy now? Should I wait? And then in a lot of cases, there's a lot of conversation about interest rates and how that affects the market.
So this is a pretty standard response that we're getting, and I'm sure you're probably getting as well, is, well, waiting to see what the interest rates do. What's your answer?
Well, we're hearing right now that interest rates are going to continue to drop. We've seen the interest rates drop organically. And as soon as we hear about an interest rate drop, our phone answer rates pick up quite a bit. We get more showing requests right away. And that is what we're seeing right now.
I have a showing tomorrow on a listing. I had a call to see one yesterday. I had a showing on Monday. And when we say showings, we mean like the agents or myself are bringing qualified or pre-qualified buyers to show one of our listings. So those are up. That's good. I've noticed the same this week because it's been in the news too.
Yeah, it's definitely been in the news, and we see it first. And when we mean showings, it means the people who are right now on the fence are starting to get off the fence and agreeing to meet with us in person and go look at some properties at whatever their price is for that property right now.
Let me ask you a question because you were recently doing, if you haven't checked it out, 2441 Weber Street, brand new build for 1.399 million. You hosted for me a couple of open houses in the last couple of days.
Yep.
What was the feedback? Like, what did you hear these buyers saying and talking amongst themselves?
So the feedback on that particular property was really good, and actually, it was the first weekend where I had multiple groups of what seemed to be highly motivated people showing up. In the past, it's been a lot of people just kind of walking in and saying hello or whatever, but not actually very serious. So
You gonna sell it for me?
I'm going to try to sell it for you. That's for sure.
That's why we do open houses. We want to, I
That's
mean,
right.
open houses are to help, expose the property, but also to sell it, of course. So anyway,
Well,
so
it's
what'd you
also a
hear?
great place to get feedback on the pricing of the property, the condition of the property. That property is a new build, like you mentioned. It's super, it's beautiful. It's great, right? So
Right.
that's what the buyers are actually, at least in my experience right now. The buyers are only going to see the nicest homes in every price range, right?
Right. And so were there just be honest, was there negative feedback? Were they like, we're not ready to buy yet? Like, what was the inside scoop, if anything?
No, I haven't really had too much negative feedback. Not from that particular property. They didn't mention anything about the pricing of the property. They did mention, the proximity to Siesta Key, to Longboat Key, to downtown. That was one of the main motivators as to why they were in that area.
So location
Yep.
obviously is always going to be important, even though
Yep.
it's a busy road. We could get a New Yorker in there that doesn't care about the traffic, right?
That was one comment that I had. So because it is on Weber and it's directly on Weber, the one person said, well, it's a good thing I don't have any kids because I wouldn't really want to live here if I had 3 kids. They didn't. So hopefully they're going to be the people that pull the trigger.
So, as far as like what are you finding with buyers? Like, because I feel like a lot of people are waiting and watching. Are you thinking that they're getting off the fence now with the lower rates, or like the timing is more into 2026?
So what I'm feeling right now is that for the previous couple of months, people are very much biting at the bit and on the fence. And again, as soon as the interest rates made their little drop, it did bring people into the mix willing to go see properties, making offers. I still have a bunch of people saying I'm waiting for the next rate to drop, right? If the feds do the drop that they're expected to do, which is what I keep telling them, I don't know if they're going to do the drop or
You
not. I
don't
can't.
know? You don't have a ball, like this crystal
Yeah.
thing that you keep in your closet?
No, no, no. I'm not a psychic either, but I do see the writing on the wall, and it does seem to be trending in that direction. So what I then discuss with them is, how is that going to affect you in your exact situation? Are you a cash buyer or are you going to be using a loan? Most of the cash buyers seem to think that an interest rate drop is not going to affect them in any way, which I generally try to let them know that while you may not be using a loan, you are very likely to then be competing against a bunch of people who were not yet in this market. So, kind of my answer to them is that we have a unique situation where I believe we're either at our floor or very, very close to our floor here in Sarasota. And if you're a cash buyer, you should probably be trying to make that move now so you're not competing with all these other people. And potentially, if demand goes up, maybe pricing goes back up. And again, that's going to be a negative impact for a cash buyer.
I truly feel to that point about this interest rate discussion, this like that never goes away, is like you don't want to compete against more buyers, right? So now is a sweet spot right here before inventory starts to increase because a lot of people take off properties August and September so that it goes back to 0 days on market October
Yeah.
1st. And between August and September is like a great opportunity if a buyer can see past, see the forest through the trees, it's a great opportunity to look at what's on the market or seek out off-market properties. We were talking about an off-market luxury property over the weekend, and it may or may not work for your client, but these are opportunities that are great when you have a full-time, long-time agent working for you, that they come across properties like that because they network with agents, and there's
Yep.
value in that for a seller and for a buyer, right? Putting the two parties together.
Oh, definitely. I have a couple of people that are helping me look for this luxury property for this one particular buyer, and the property that Shayla was mentioning, it may be a perfect fit, it may not be, but it has been very useful to network with other agents and to really try to go find those properties that are off market currently, either removed, expired, or canceled. Um, and that's another thing right now too. So as these new buyers come back into the market, as interest rates drop, one of the ways this affects sellers is that there's a lot of sellers out there that remove their property from the market because they did not want a higher interest rate on the new property that they're going to go purchase. So again, if we bring those people back into the market as both sellers because they're going to sell their property, but also as highly qualified buyers because they're selling a property, again, it's just going to add to more competition in the market, which is good for the sellers, right? How does this affect the sellers? It's good for the sellers to have competition because then you can be a little bit more picky on the offers that you're taking, not just the dollar amount, but maybe the way that they're structured.
Oh, another thing in the news that's good for probably more buyers and sellers is this whole foreclosure market peaking, or like the supply peaking in Cape Coral. So are you
Yes.
hearing much about that in your discussions?
So I do. One of the unique things about Sarasota is that we get a lot of out of state buyers or interest, and those buyers are generally interested in, I want to be near the beach. So I then probe with them, which beach would you like to be near? And
We have several.
sometimes their knowledge of Florida is a little bit different than what we would expect. And they say like, oh, Siesta Key, Clearwater Beach, South Beach, Jacksonville. And
That's
I'm
the whole
like,
state.
yeah, they're 9 hours apart from
And
each
the
other.
state is a huge state.
That's right.
So you'd be driving what, 10 hours
Yeah.
door to
So
door?
I just let them know that our area in particular is a little bit unique. And almost at least 50% of the time, they're bringing up Charlotte County and
Cape
Cape
Coral.
Coral, right?
Because it's
And
made the news for like the
yes,
highest number of foreclosures or
it is
something.
the driver of the national negative news about Florida real estate because it is the number one county and the number one city for foreclosures currently. And to that, I tell them that our areas are completely different, even though they're just right down the street from us. Sarasota is a slice of paradise that's a little bit different than the surrounding communities in a way that we have fine dining, we have entertainment, we have pre-planned communities like Lakewood Ranch. We have the number one beach in America, Siesta Key, that jockeys back and forth with Clearwater every now and then.
Nah, we're number one.
But it is a different community, and it can be seen in the way we do our hurricane cleanup disaster response. We attack things here very quickly.
That's a really, really good point.
Oh, thank you.
Good contribution there. I agree with that. Because, well, to that point too, like you go down to Englewood, the
Mhm.
mainland, not the island, right? The
Yeah.
mainland, you would still see blue tarps for a very long time after. And we're like, where you been? We've been cleaned up for a long time. So it's, yeah, that is true.
It was shocking. I had a friend of mine reach out to me. They have two properties listed down there, and he wanted me to take these two listings over for the agent that was working to sell those properties.
Mhm.
I very quickly did an analysis of what's going on in that area, and one of the first things I do is I look at things from Google Maps, right?
Ariel, where are you? And
And it's Blue Tarp Central still down there, and his neighborhood had probably 25 properties listed. And so basically, what I told him is I said, I think probably your listing agent needs a hug. She doesn't probably need to be fired because
oh,
she has a really tough
that's really
job.
nice of you to say.
Well, it's true. I mean, a lot of times they blame us
It's
for what's
tough. It's
going
tough. Like,
on.
we don't control the market. And look
No.
around you. If it's blue tarp cities, I mean,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
if there's five other homes in your neighborhood that are very similar in price and or condition, age, whatever, they're going to go with the cheaper property every single time, right? No matter what, that's what's going to happen. One of the things I find a little bit weird is that sellers don't think about it from the buyer perspective as much as they should. If you're going to sell your house or if you're going to buy your house, there's a number that house should be listed at and should be sold at, right? The market value of the property.
what are you talking about? I mean, you
Yeah.
can always lower the price. Isn't that every seller's
Yeah.
response?
Right. That's we can lower the price. We could go in and offer $400,000 less on a property for no reason at all,
For
right?
no reason.
Well, this is what the sellers have to deal with, and then we have to present these offers, which we let our buyers know that's not probably going to go in this market.
And
It's not
you're just
justified.
insulting. There's a fine line
Yeah.
between insulting and engaging with the realtor or the seller to respond in a way that keeps the ball rolling and negotiate the price and the terms. It's about price, but it's also about terms, you know? So it's
Yeah.
and how clean the contract is or how not clean the contract is, the offer.
Well, not only that's a great point. To the point, back to the interest rate thing. What's odd is people are waiting for interest rates to drop. Let's say they do drop. Let's say they go down enough to where prices start going back up again. We find ourselves back in a seller's market where most of the sellers are not even going to take the loan offers anymore. They're going to take the convenience offer of cash. A lot of times, not every time, right?
Mm, I've only seen that in the
COVID.
COVID market. That's when there's multiple offers. But outside of that, even cash buyers, they feel like they want to have a little bit of a discount.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite of what sellers might think, unless you're in a competing multiple offer situation. But if you think about it, the cash buyers are probably smart, invested
Yeah.
well, and are because they're generally more wealthy or have a higher net worth, probably because they've done things right in life, right? And one thing they don't want to do is overpay. And quite frankly, it is the opposite. They say, well, it's clean, it's cash, can I get a break on it? And I generally say, well, yes, absolutely, especially if you're competing. We're not really seeing much of that right now.
No.
There's some, outlier cases of that, of course, depending on the markets and the pricing. But generally, I would say like right now, be open to actually FHA, VA. I mean, sellers. I've got Weber is open to seller financing. So there's
Yeah.
creative things happening right now. But as it relates back to the Cape Coral situation, there, are you finding that people just want Cape Coral? They just heard it in the news and they don't know.
No, I'm finding really that so you have some people want to, where do I get the best deal at? And I kind of say, and they bring up,
That's so broad.
I don't bring that up. I don't bring up Cape Coral. They do. And I say, yeah, you can get a really good deal there, but what are you going to do with it?
What's your lifestyle and what do you like? And yeah.
Yeah. Well, not only that, what is the intent of the property? If it's an investment income producing property, what are the rental rates there right now, right? Because not a lot of people are
Lower than
moving in.
Sarasota.
Right. They're not moving into the tarp covered home. And then your resale value, what's going to happen with that overall market over time? And that's what we really don't know. But so I don't really recommend that people go down there and buy up, even though you can definitely get a lower price per square foot than you're going to find here. But dollars for dollars. And the community issue is a big factor, I think, too. Sarasota specifically, is much different than these other areas. As I mentioned earlier, with all of the entertainment and just
The
beaches.
islands are all so different.
Yeah.
Every area is so different.
Oh yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what we do is as a relationship business, yes, we're selling, but I think asking whether it's a seller, okay, why are you selling? Where are you planning to go? Like what is really the intent of selling? Is it because
Hmm.
it's good timing in the market? Do you have a health issue? Is there a divorce? Like there's all kinds of reasons. So it's like the relationship aspect is us asking questions like, okay, I see this shiny price of $200,000 for a home by the water, but what am I going to do if I want to go to the opera? It's going to
Yeah.
be an hour, hour and a half to get to the
Or
opera.
the airport.
Is that the lifestyle that you
Yeah.
want? Or likewise, are you buying as an investment property, and what are those cash flow numbers look like? Okay. So I think asking the right questions and understanding someone's needs like inside and out, we can point you in the direction, right? That might not be a good fit, or it might be a great
Yeah.
fit, right?
Yeah, we can
Um,
definitely point people in what we believe is the right direction, but motivation is key in this, right? Overall, what we're discussing is motivation, and like I have somebody who has a an older uncle that lives here. He's in the later stages of his life. He has things that are going on, and this lady that I'm working with, she's like, "Look, I don't care what the interest rates are. I just need to find the right place so I can get
we
there."
really like her.
Yeah, right.
Sounds like a good buyer.
Yeah, well, definitely, it's a motivation factor where they need to be in a certain area in a certain time, similar to a person who's about to have a baby, but they live in a two-bedroom apartment right now, or something, or they live with their parents still.
Right.
So it's a key factor, and we're starting to see more of those people jump off the fence, but we are still seeing people holding themselves back because of this national news and the idea that this magical interest rate number is going to come up sometime soon. And, obviously, hopefully that does happen. But
We'll just cut the fence down so they could jump it faster and sooner and easier. I think too, like people have to keep in mind the timing is the timing, right? Nobody could time the market. And a buyer generally doesn't have to buy, but a seller generally has to sell in certain circumstances. So we have to keep that in mind as a seller, right? Price it well. I mean, and there's always a change. Like your neighbor could list it and undercut everybody. So your agent really has to keep an eye on these things really closely. But I guess that's where we can wrap things up here. And
yeah,
there's a lot to say and a lot to talk about, whether we're servicing buyers or sellers. But it's good to have someone like you that has really direct insight on talking with a lot of different. I mean, how many buyers a day do you talk to? Probably.
I try to talk to at least 10,
Well, that's
and
good.
I generally get to that number. Bad or good conversations, I still count them, but
Clicks.
we got to get to, well, I don't count that one. But I do try to talk to at least 10 people per day, 5 to 6 days a week. And I generally hit those numbers. And that's where the actual real world, real time feedback is coming from, which is, I think, invaluable when we're talking with our sellers about the realistic ideas about what they're going to get for their property, what they should list for it, and how long it's going to take to get it done.
And exactly where I was headed with that, just buckle in, buckle up, because 6 months on the market is a normal market. So if it takes
Oh,
that long to sell your property, you guys just hang tight, have the discussions with your realtor, stay on top of the market. Hopefully your agent's doing that. I think communication is 90% of it. Educating, we're constantly being educated by the market. We're constantly trying to feed that to our sellers and buyers. So sellers, buyers, I hope this was informational. And Josh, how can people get a hold of you?
You can email me at josh@corcorandwellings.com, or you can pick up your phone when I'm calling all these people every day. I'm just kidding. Or you can give me a call, 773-220-9867. Love to talk to you.
And likewise, mine's 941-544-7690. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do it. And thank you.
Thanks for having me, Shayla.
You're welcome.